Imagine standing in the middle of the Sahara at sunset, and instead of one sun sinking toward the horizon, you see a second one, brighter, steadier, and completely man-made, glowing from a tower rising out of the sand. That's not science fiction. It's happening right now in Morocco, on the edge of the Sahara Desert, where engineers have built one of the most ambitious energy projects on the planet. So here's the headline. Near the town of Ouarzazate, Morocco has constructed a concentrated solar power complex so large it can be seen from space. Hundreds of thousands of mirrors, spread across an area roughly the size of a small city, all pointed at a single target, a tower over 800 feet tall. At its peak, sunlight reflected from those mirrors gets so intense it can melt metal. And from a distance, the glow around that tower genuinely looks like a second sun sitting on the horizon.
Let's slow down for a second, because to understand why Morocco built this, you need to understand the bet the country is making. Morocco imports almost all of its fossil fuels. No major oil reserves, limited natural gas, and a growing population that needs more electricity every single year. For decades, that meant relying on expensive energy imports and staying vulnerable to global price swings. But Morocco has one resource most countries would kill for: over 3,000 hours of direct sunlight a year, falling on some of the emptiest, most useless land on Earth. So the government made a decision. Instead of importing energy, why not manufacture it right there in the desert, using the one resource the country has in near infinite supply?
That decision became the Noor Complex, Noor meaning light in Arabic, and it's actually 4 separate solar plants working together, not just one. 3 of them use this mirror and tower design called concentrated solar power, and the 4th uses traditional photovoltaic panels, the kind you'd see on a rooftop, just at a massive industrial scale. Here's how the tower plants actually work, in plain terms. Instead of converting sunlight directly into electricity, like a regular solar panel, these mirrors, called heliostats, track the sun throughout the day and reflect its light onto a single receiver at the top of the tower. That concentrated light heats up a fluid, usually molten salt, to temperatures over 550 degrees Celsius. That superheated salt then boils water into steam, which spins a turbine, generating electricity the same way a traditional power plant would, just without burning a single drop of fuel. And here's the detail that makes this project genuinely clever. Molten salt holds heat incredibly well. So during the day, the plant doesn't just generate electricity, it also stores massive amounts of heat in enormous insulated tanks. That means even after the sun goes down, the plant can keep producing power for hours, sometimes running through most of the night. That's something standard solar panels simply can't do without separate battery systems.
At full capacity, the Noor complex generates enough electricity to power roughly 1 million homes. It was, at the time it was completed, the largest concentrated solar power facility on Earth, and it remains one of the most technically ambitious energy projects any country has ever attempted. Now, here's where the story gets interesting rather than simply triumphant, because building something this size in the middle of the desert comes with real costs that don't show up in the glowing photos. The first is money. The total project cost more than $9 billion, financed through a mix of government funding and loans from international development banks. That's an enormous bet for a country with a mid-sized economy, and it only pays off if the plant keeps running efficiently for decades. The second is water. This is the part most people don't expect. Even though the plant sits in one of the driest regions on the planet, concentrated solar power actually needs water, both to cool the steam turbines and, just as importantly, to clean the mirrors. Desert dust builds up fast, and dirty mirrors reflect less sunlight, which means less electricity. In a region already under water stress, drawing water for an energy project is a serious trade-off, and engineers have had to get creative, using dry cooling systems and robotic mirror cleaners to cut down on water use wherever possible. The third challenge is cost competition. Since Noor was built,
The price of standard photovoltaic solar panels has dropped dramatically, far faster than almost anyone predicted. Today, plain solar panels paired with battery storage are often cheaper to build than a concentrated solar tower system like this one. That's forced experts to ask a tough question. Was this the right long-term technology to bet on? Or did Morocco build something impressive that's already being outpaced by simpler, cheaper alternatives? The answer isn't fully settled. Supporters point out that molten salt storage still offers something batteries at this scale struggle to match cheaply: many hours of steady, reliable power after dark, which is exactly when electricity demand often spikes. Critics argue that as battery prices keep falling, that advantage may not last much longer.
What isn't in dispute is the bigger picture. Morocco set a goal of getting more than half its electricity from renewable sources, and projects like Noor are a major part of getting there. The country has positioned itself as a potential energy exporter to Europe, using its abundant sunlight and open land as leverage in a global economy that's racing to move away from fossil fuels. So where does that leave us? On one side, there's a genuinely remarkable engineering achievement, a literal second sun rising out of the Sahara, powering roughly 1 million homes, built by a country with almost no oil of its own. On the other side, there's the harder, less glamorous reality: enormous cost, real water trade-offs, and a technology racing against cheaper competitors before it's even finished proving itself. If Morocco's bet pays off, Noor could become a blueprint for other sun-drenched, resource-poor nations looking to build energy independence out of nothing but desert and light. If it doesn't, it becomes a cautionary tale about betting big on a single technology in a fast-moving industry. Either way, that second sun isn't going anywhere anytime soon. And what happens next in the Moroccan desert could end up shaping how the rest of the world thinks about turning sunlight into power for generations to come. That's it for today. If this pacified your curiosity, give the video a like and share it with someone who'd find this as fascinating as you did. And if you want more stories like this, stick around. There's a lot more beneath the headlines.